All right, guys, so I want to give you my final prediction for the election. I spent a lot of time thinking about this, but ultimately what I did for my criteria, like how I made my mind up, is the most boring and straightforward thing you could ever do, okay? So I'll get to that in a second. Now, first, let's talk a little bit about the perception of the election. Like, a lot of people who are pro-Trump, they love defaulting to, but 2016, you know, we hear this all the time. Oh, it looked like Hillary was going to win. Everybody had her up so much, and then she lost. That's like exactly what's going to happen this time. There's a couple problems with that narrative. Number one, the numbers just don't match up with it. So in other words, Hillary was up about 4 points nationally. Biden's up over 8 points nationally. So Biden's up more than double what Hillary was up. Now, you could then, flip it around and say, well, yeah, but the swing states are a slightly different story. That's true. That's true. The swing states are a slightly different story. But if you take the numbers from 2016, the poll numbers, and how they moved a little bit towards Trump on election day, if you do the exact same thing and use the exact same numbers for 2020, Biden still wins about 330 electoral votes. So not only does he win, he kind of comfortably wins, even if you have a pro-Trump 2016 style swing on election day. Also, he's just not as disliked as Hillary was. Hillary was massively disliked, and Biden just isn't. I mean, you might dislike him, I might dislike him, hate his record, the Iraq War, yada yada. But listen, there's plenty of people, just the numbers show people are not necessarily in agreement with us on that they don't hate him. I mean, it's that simple. So now, my overall prediction. I'm going with Biden 351 electoral votes. Now, it might take a while before we get to that number because it's going to, with the mail-in votes and everything, it's going to take a while to count everything and really get everything nailed down. But I do think when all is said and done, it will be Biden 351 electoral votes. How did I come to that conclusion? Well, the polls from 2016 have been adjusted to make up for whatever mistakes there were. So you're not going to get a 2016 style polling error. And in fact, in 2018, the midterms, the polls were spot on. They were exactly right for the 2018 midterms. So what I think is the polls are going to be right, and it's going to be Biden 351. Now, the only ones that there's a question mark in my mind on, 2 states. Georgia is one of them, and North Carolina is the other. So I have Biden winning Georgia and North Carolina. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't win Georgia and North Carolina. So that would mean Biden 320 electoral votes. That's very possible. It could be Biden 320, but I am going to go with Biden 351. I'm going to give him Georgia. I'm going to give him North Carolina. There's a lot of chatter today about how Texas is looking competitive, which is like, whoa, Texas. So apparently Republicans are really panicking over Texas. If Biden wins Texas, we're talking bloodbath city. We're talking maybe over 400 electoral votes, but I didn't give him Texas. I did give him Florida. I did give him Georgia. I did give him North Carolina. Basically, the only swing states I gave Trump, Ohio, which he's up ever so slightly in the average of the polls, and Iowa, which he's up, maybe 2 points or so in the average of the polls. Basically, all the other states, they lean Biden right now, and so I've given them to Biden. So my final prediction is Biden 351. I wouldn't be surprised if it drops to 320. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he there's a hidden pro-Biden vote, which is not accounted for, in which case it'd be Biden over 400. So, but I'll go with 351 with my number 2 prediction being 320. We'll see what happens. It might take a while before we get the numbers really set in stone. But listen, honestly, Trump's ran a terrible campaign, and I think the magic really has worn off. And we're certainly going to find out very soon. So anyway, I'll see you guys tonight. Myself, Joe Rogan, Tim Dillon, 7 p.m. Eastern, election special coverage. Let's do the damn thing.